Hey everyone, I have something interesting to share with you today. It is the Sopranos and Philosophy. I kill, therefore I am.
I read it. It's scary.
So this book is part of a series that started in the year 2000 called Pop Culture and Philosophy, which aims to take a deeper philosophical look at some of the most popular franchises of the time.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.
Who did what?
For example, some of the other books in this series include The Philosophy of Seinfeld and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Lord of the Rings, and there was one in The Simpsons, and I have actually read another one in the series on The Matrix.
The Matrix. I haven't seen it yet.
Right up our alley.
But we're not talking about that. When I read this, I was more or less familiar already with the philosophical concepts discussed in each chapter. I've at least heard of them. I could tell you what they basically are about and how they would relate to the show. That being said, I am not an expert on philosophy. I'm not a professor reviewing this book for some academic journal. So I'm not going to go chapter by chapter, really picking apart their arguments and whether or not they're actually sound. We're just going to have fun talking about this for a little bit. Cool thing about this book is that it has a foreword by Vincent Pastore, aka Big Pussy. Okay, I'm just going to read the foreword really quick because it's weird. Need more Sopranos? Can't wait for the next season. And/or, will the next season be the last? During your downtime, the in-between, the empty void, you should read this book. Or else. It's got bada bing all over it. The inside and the out. The Sopranos and Philosophy. Who would have thought? Forget about it. So now, when I get sad and blue and think about the boys, I just pick up The Sopranos and Philosophy and remember when times were good and Big Pussy wasn't sleeping with the fishes. Not yet. So, that was beautiful.
Anyway, $4 a pound.
I don't get the impression that Big Pussy actually read this book at all. He just wrote some random stuff. This feels like, to me, a real last-minute thing that his agent just remembered and was like, oh, crap, I forgot that philosophy book. They want you to write that forward by the end of today. He's like, all right, give me 5 minutes, and just typed out whatever he could. An interesting thing about this book series is that it's not just written by one person. It's a compilation. It's an anthology of different professors and academics. Some of these authors were better storytellers than others. While most chapters I thought were fun to read, there are some that just come off as dry and academic. Something Elliot Kupferberg would like. It's clear that some know and care about the show more than others. Another thing about the multiple authors of this book is that I felt like I read the same introduction paragraph to their chapter over and over and over. What The Sopranos is and who Tony Soprano is was just explained to me over and over. Because, it's like a college intro, so it's got to be like, The Sopranos is a popular show about a New Jersey mob boss. Too many of the chapters start like that, and especially, who else would buy this but a fan of the show? I mean, maybe one of these professors requires you to buy his own book because he's a jerk, but the average fan of the show, like me, is going to buy this. You don't have to explain who Tony is. I do think that this book got better as it went. There's 17 chapters, and they're divided into 6 different sections based on a similar linking theme in their philosophy or the way they talk about the show. And each chapter is only like 10 to 15 pages, so they're all fairly easy to get through. Some of my favorite chapters included Chapter 7, Tony Soprano's Moral Sympathy or Lack Thereof, The Sopranos and Subjectivist Ethics.
It says with pulp.
You like it with pulp.
Not this much. I like the one that says some pulp. The fuck was that for?
Or Chapter 9, Is Carmela Soprano a Feminist?
Is that a Porsche?
Had my eye on it for months. The gift from Tony.
I thought about a Boxster, but I don't know.
The vet felt more like me.
You bought that yourself?
The accountant says I'm better off owning it outright.
Chapter 10, Dying in Our Own Arms, Liberalism, Communitarianism, and the Construction of Identity on the Sopranos. You see what I mean about some of this being dry and academic?
Do you ever think, like, why were we born?
Madame de Stael said, in life one must choose between boredom and suffering.
Go to your room.
Chapter 11, Sympathy for the Devil. And Chapter 16, Tony Soprano in Hell, chases mob in Dante's Inferno.
What's different between you and me is you're going to hell when you die.
Chapter 16 was one of my favorite chapters. The concept is that the author took the characters from The Sopranos and analyzed them in a philosophical, moral, and ethical framework, and he took a guess as to what level of hell, like from Dante's Inferno's 9 levels of hell, what level of hell that character would reside in the afterlife. He put Livia Soprano and Junior Soprano in the bottom, the 9th level of hell for, well, you got to read the book.
I don't like that kind of talk. Now just stop it. It upsets me.
Another important thing to mention about this book that really gives context to the whole thing is the fact that it came out in 2004. Every author mentions having seen up to the end of season 4. The Whitecaps episode was the last one that aired at the time this book was written or published or whatever. So when reading the book, I couldn't help but often wonder how some of these essays or the analysis or the conclusions the authors came to would be different if this had come out after the show ended. I think they published this in the middle of the show's run to capitalize on the popularity of the show, to ride that wave of popular momentum while the, strike while the iron's hot, get while the getting's good, that kind of thing. Right now it's 2024, and because this book came out in 2004, and I'm reading it now, I have the benefit of 20 years.
20 fucking years.
Of Sopranos discussion, analysis, and some really great video essays on YouTube, hours of those that I've watched. Some of the conclusions some of these authors come to at the end of their chapters don't come across as that profound to me as a fan in 2024 who has already consumed way too many hours of Sopranos analysis content. Some of the stuff is just stuff that as fans we just know now. Overall, can I recommend this book? It's not for everybody. Parts of this book were actually very fun to read. I did learn a few things. I refamiliarized myself with some philosophical concepts. If you're a professor or an academic writing for some scholarly journal about philosophy and this kind of stuff interests you, then, well, yeah, get this book. But for the casual Sopranos fan or just someone who's not in academia, yeah, you can skip this book. Try it if you want. I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to have a great time, but you may enjoy this. There's probably many, many great YouTube video essays already out there. They'll teach you in a more interesting and engaging way than this will. If you stuck around this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.